Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, January 1st, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards, we are starting our day off with today. Woo! Yep, that feels about right. We've got here our Knight of Wands. We've got here our Knight of Wands in its reversal in combination with our King of Wands in its upright. So, this is like, it's giving me, today is like, this is like easy breezy kind of energy, you know? There's a lot of that, like, it's more of that feeling of energetic release that we're experiencing, right? And I want to say, I feel like I feel like a little bit of it might just like, if you're feeling a little weird today, you know, one of the things I'm seeing is, and this is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Like, there's a lot, like, it's interesting because it's almost like it's like it's a germinating kind of energy is the best way I can try to express that. And why is it? Because it's allowing for that. There's like, and this is why for masculine, it feels more like that sense or space of energetically planting seeds, right? Why do we see that the masculine is in this modality right now? Because for a lot of the masculine energy right now, we've been talking about doing that work. And, you know, when we're healing our egoic self, it immediately sometimes feels characteristic by seeing things in different ways. Like, that's usually a good hallmark sign that you're healing an egoic wound, is because you'll start seeing things from a lot of different perspectives, right? Because we talked a little bit about the fact that, like, remember I told you, like, I got to tell you right now, the combination of these two energies is like a Queen of Wands energy for masculine, right? Because this is more of that healing that we were seeing that the masculine is doing, basically saying to oneself, like, hey, buddy, I love you. You're great. Like, I love you, ego. I'm not trying to get rid of you, right? But when you're not in a space that you're healthy, right, you often stand in the way. It's like the unchecked bodyguard energy. It's like the energy that stands in the way that doesn't allow us to see anything on over the side of it. So I see even now that for a lot of that energy coming into that space or place, this is a masculine that's taking different approaches at this time, you know, and being gentle on themselves in the process. And for feminine right now, this is feeling more like that sense or that space of building into energetic focus. And why are we seeing that for a lot of the feminine right now? Because for feminine energy right now, a lot of that work is releasing those spaces or places wherein you are working or navigating through another's expectations of you, right? This is the feminine energy working and healing those places of the emotion. Because I just keep hearing the feminine saying to their emotions, like, listen, guys, I adore you. But when you are so focused on desiring something, you cloud the energetic perspective in terms of being able to see things as they are, right? So we see in a context right now, both masculine and feminine are healing in profound ways. But there's a lot of that holding space for how much one has changed in the process. And that's happening across all of the frequencies. Now, center card for today's spread is, we have here our 3 of Swords in its upright. And we got to talk about this. Because this is the second time. This is the second time this week we've gotten this 3 of Swords in this exact position. Center of the spread. I believe If you go back to our reading, I want to say 2 days ago, same exact card, same exact position. A lot of releasing of grief right now, right? And that work, like releasing of grief, it can feel like, I keep seeing this, and it's interesting too, because right before we started this reading, we were having a conversation on sacred sadness, right? This is the same energy that we saw and recognized and identified yesterday. Remember, we were talking about that energy, a lot of that karmic release, feeling a little bit like a sigh or a sob. Why do we see that at this time? Because when we're honoring our path work, you know, when we're in a space where we're moving towards our manifestation goals while also honoring our path work, there's a lot of, I just keep seeing a lot of energy that is reorienting right now, right? We were reorienting. And for masculine energy, a lot of that reorienting is the hallmark of it is seeing something in a different way. And I'm going to say this again with all the compassion for masculine. If there's something that you're seeing in a different way that you couldn't see before, right? Because your ego was guiding you in a direction that felt like it was counter oppositional to the one that you were trying to move towards, I want you to give yourself a little bit of grace at this time. Because everything I keep seeing here, that pain is sacred. Why is that pain sacred? Because it is a recognition of how far you have come, right? Like that is the energy. Like I almost hear the energy of the masculine ego apologizing to the masculine self, right? Because this is the masculine that says to the self, I'm sorry if I got in your way. I was just trying to energetically protect you, right? And so that's why I see even now, like there's a lot of that healing that's happening, but it's bittersweet, right? And for feminine right now, I see that a lot of that feminine energy working through that same process, because I see a lot of the feminine energy that says to themselves, you know, my desire for someone allowed me not to be able to see myself, right? That's that emotion, that's that ability of sometimes, like the emotions that sometimes feel like they're a current that sweep us away, because the emotions want to move in the direction that the emotions want to move. And sometimes that ability of the desire of what the emotions want to see can cloud our vision in relationality to what's actually happening, right? So we see even now that both of these energies going through a little bit of those experiences and seeing something in a different way, or experiencing something in a different way. And it's bittersweet, right? Because this isn't the energy that's hard on themselves on that journey. This is the feminine that holds the emotions closely in that modality and says, hey, I adore you guys. The journey is not like, this isn't the energy going feminine going, oh, I know, I'll just shut them off. It's going, the feminine goes, no, I bring them closer to me. Like a parent would with their children, and say, like, listen, I know you guys want to go over there, but we need to stay focused on our path. We're going over there, like no side quests. So we see even now that a lot of that energy, there's a lot of this honoring of the energetic journey that's coming through. And when we're honoring our energetic journey, we often have to navigate a lot of sacred sadness, because that's the energy that almost sees those other pathworks and says that isn't available, right? This is more of that continuation of the lesson of what we're experiencing from the movement of Pluto out of Capricorn into the Pluto into Aquarius, right? Because Pluto in Capricorn was more of that energy that says whatever it takes, like the ends like qualify the means, versus the energy that says how you get somewhere is just as important as where you're going. What is the purpose of getting somewhere if you lose the sense of self in the process, right? So we see even now, like that's a lot of that space of those that are honoring their journey as they continue forward during this period. Fourth and fifth card on these spreads before we get to start drilling down into the other frequencies, across the frequencies. We have here our Judgment card in its upright, man. Oh, wow. And there's that Nine of Wands energy, right? This is the exact same message that we're talking towards at this time. And a lot of this work, I just keep seeing, like this isn't this isn't energy right now that is racing to get to some kind of finish line, right? This isn't the type of energy that is looking at something, and this is sometimes something that happens. This is why we have to like work on controlling the ego, because like the ego always wants to say it's a race, right? Like who's going to get there first, right? A lot of that work to a certain extent. But, when we're building upon and we're recognizing the value of our energetic journeys, it's not so much defined as trying to get somewhere, but being very present in the context of where we find ourselves, right? So I see even now there's a lot of that work that's occurring at this time wherein energy is being very present, right? There's like a lot of that energy of presence, and a lot of that work is healing via those contexts or experiences wherein there was like like anything, I'm saying anything that led one off of one's own path. Now, this is just a reminder, and I'm going to say this again, you can never be off of one's own path, right? But the ability of being intentional upon it, right? Sometimes when we don't understand the reasons that we're moving towards something, we start to feel a lot of that like insecurity. We start to feel a lot of that like that sense or that lack of purpose. So I just keep seeing even now, these are energies that are forgiving themselves and healing from those experiences that and for feminine, it feels like looking for outside validation in one's own preciousness. And for masculine, it is feeling that sense or space that you have to protect yourself from everyone at all costs, that often makes it impossible to build into an authentic energetic connection. So everything that we're seeing here, there's it's a lot of that work that's effectively occurring. Continuing to get clarification between our Knight of Wands in combination with our King of Wands and its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, this is having a different impact across the frequencies. Speaking to the energy and separation right now, I see even now. And I would not be surprised if I'm recognizing and identifying some energy of masculine that's like more in some kind of like temperamentality is what I'm seeing here. Because and that's the thing, that's the only thing I like stress or caution about right now, especially for masculine energy, because a little of this like Knight of Wands with the King of Wands and its upright could articulate or feel like something that is like a little bit more on the realm of feeling more short-tempered today, right? But I want you to identify if you're feeling short-tempered, is it because you're feeling like you're being hard on yourself, right? And that's why I see even now, like there's a lot of energy right now that's potentially navigating into that space of breakthrough. And it's like, listen, sometimes before you have to get right before you have a breakthrough, like sometimes you're going to get really mad before you have a breakthrough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why I'm saying even now, like make sure, like they're saying, if you're about to have a breakthrough, don't accidentally break something in the process. And that, because I can see even now, if you're operating more from the space of the egoic self, you could actually just like accidentally break something in your frustration. But if you're working more in that space of having like recognizing and holding something energetically sacred, it may be feeling more like a profound breakthrough today, right? Like a sense of understanding of one's own self is what I'm seeing. Like that's the only thing about it. Like often like this type of energy here, that's why it's important to be able to like move it into a space that allows it to be productive. For feminine energy right now, this is feeling more like there is still a little bit of that same energy here in navigating energetic frustration. But a lot of this And this is why this is the feminine that's feeling more the sacredness of their frustration, right? Because this is the feminine energy that's like looking at their frustration and they're asking themselves, this is not the feminine energy that is feeling frustrated with themselves. This is potentially the feminine energy that's feeling frustrations as it relates to others' expectations of them, right? Because a lot of that energy is also healing from those experiences in the past wherein they were more in that experience or more in that mentality of effectively seeking that sense of validation via outside energetic connections, right? And so, you know, one of the things I'm seeing here, and this is what we talk about when we talk about healthy alignment, so much of this work has to do with that sense or space. Like I see I see a lot of feminine energy almost articulating upon something. And again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, as to this is more, this is the more of the same that we were seeing yesterday. It's not picky, it's important, right? Right. I can see a lot of energy right now, deep within divine union, speaking to another in partnership and saying, am I being picky about something? And again, healthy partnership helps us determine whether we are being picky, whether it's picky or important, right? Because something picky is coming more because the ego wants it, right? Important has to do with something that is fundamental. For masculine, that's why I'm seeing for energy deep within divine union right now. This is the energy that's like working through a potential energetic breakthrough. But that's why I see even now, like some of this, it's like the energy remembering. Sometimes you got to get frustrated before you find the solution to something, right? So don't look down. They're saying look up. Continuing, and for the energy right now coming into divine union, this has to do, I just keep seeing there's a lot of this energy right now that is coming into divine union that's navigating another person, what they would perceive as another person's faulty perspective. Why is the energy navigating another person's faulty perspective? It's the energy that looks at something to a certain extent and says, I'm sorry you feel that way, right? And not someone trying to, when we say, I'm sorry you feel that way, what we're really saying is, I'm sorry that you see something in that way, because that's not how I energetically see it. Right? So this isn't the energy that says your perception isn't accurate. This is the energy that looks towards something with a level or degree of discernment to recognize and identify what another is seeing, but also trying to bring clarity to it. So I see even now, that's why some of this energy may be feeling more energetically protective, because this is a lot of that energy that is recognizing. And again, this is why we're going to talk about this a lot. Like we're going to continue to talk about this throughout the Mars being in retrograde. When we are operating from an egoic or an emotional space, it's really easy to see things as we desire to see them, as opposed to how they truly are. The ego wants to see things in certain ways, right? The ego is all about a singular perspective. The emotions often want to get carried away and see things deeper than they actually are. So what do we see? Like, what do we see that masculine and feminine right now are doing deep within divine union and coming into divine union? They're navigating those perspectives, right? They're either navigating them for the energy deep within divine union. This is the energy and navigating them within the self, right? For the energy coming into divine union, this is energy being protective of the perspective that they've had in partnership and having that difficulty in trying, and if there's something that's coming towards them in a way that doesn't feel like it's in alignment to them, trying to impart upon another one's own perspective with the hope that they can also see something with that shared perspective. That's a lot of that work, and sometimes can feel frustrating, which is why I keep hearing a lot of that energy saying in one way or another, give me the patience required in the sense or space of another potentially finally seeing something the way that I see it, but also recognizing if that's not possible, right? While for masculine and feminine right now, that is deep, that is in separation, I'm just seeing that for a lot of that energy in separation during this time, that work, that change of perspective is what is allowing a lot of energy right now to move forward in healthy, positive, productive ways, right? Because it's in the moment that we feel a perceptual shift, that we say we don't heal, we don't necessarily, like, healing comes in many forms, and having a different perspective on something is a form of healing. So I see even now for masculine in separation, this may be amplifying or articulating a level or degree of eagerness. Because I'm even seeing here that for a lot of the masculine energy in separation, that ability of appreciating one's own journey and how much one has changed. This is almost a lot of that energy that feels that sense of like excitement to put some of that energy into practice. While for feminine energy, I see even now, this is a lot of the energy of the feminine that is healing from experiences of the past with masculine energy that is building upon the recognition and the appreciation of standards, right? This isn't the feminine. I'm seeing a lot of this feminine energy that says my standards will, again, always feel like they are too much for someone that isn't in alignment to me, and will always will always be raised by someone that is in alignment with me, right? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Wands and its upright in combination with our Three of Swords in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify, please? All right, bear with me a moment. One card, please. We've got here, there's that Queen of Cups in its reversal again. Oh, yep. Now, the Queen of Cups was in our spread yesterday, and she was occupying she's in the same direction, and she's occupying a very similar position as yesterday. Yesterday, she was where our Three of Swords is today. So she's moving, this is feminine energy that is processing emotions, right? And this is the energy that says my emotions are valid, even if sometimes they steer me in the wrong direction. I honor my emotions, even if sometimes they steer me in the wrong direction, right? Because that's I just see that's a lot of the feminine energy coming into that space, because that's a moment that the feminine honors the well intentions of emotions, but also is working on, again, recognizing the directionality that the emotions want to take them versus what is best for them, right? I keep seeing the feminine across all the frequencies saying, I love you guys, but sometimes you want to go sometimes you want to go somewhere that doesn't feel like it's in the best direction, right? It's a lot, it's like the energy of the feminine looking at the peer pressure that emotions often create within them. Right? So there's a lot of that, that is how the feminine is working on healing right now. They're looking at the emotions like peer pressure. And this is the energy of the feminine. I was looking at the emotions and saying, I don't, it's not, I don't take, and this is a feminine that's going, I'm healing from peer pressure. I'm healing from peer pressure without, so I can heal from the peer pressure within of my own emotions. While for masculine energy right now, there's a lot of that energy of the masculine that we're effectively seeing at this time, that is working through that context or that experience of, again, looking at their ego, ego, my old friend, that old friend, and saying, look, I love you. I know that you're trying to do something that's best for me, but sometimes you get in the way of what's for me. Right? And so everything about this right now, there's a lot of that energetic processing to a certain degree, and it's emotional. It's I'm telling you even now, it's the sacred the sacred sadness, which is the sadness of appreciating the energetic lessons as you navigate a lot of like, it's like, it feels very much like maturing, you know? That's why it keeps getting like that idea of like energetic germination, continuing to get clarification between our Three of Swords and its upright in combination with our Judgment card and its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Come on out. Oh, I love it. We've got here the Fool card, right? You let it go so that you can move forward, right? Like you let it go so that you can move forward. And this isn't the energy, like I need to point this out, like this isn't the energy that goes like, I'm letting it go, right? Because we can say to ourselves, I let it go, but it doesn't mean we let it go, right? Like we don't let it go. Like when we're holding on to something, we're not letting go of it. This is the energy that's finding an ability to, like finding new abilities to find themselves to a certain extent. And so much of that work that we're seeing to a certain degree has to do with a different perspective, right? Sometimes it's in the moment that we have a different perspective that we feel energetically free, right? Because it's that modality of being able to take a new approach, to see something in a different way that allows us new possibilities, new energetic approaches, right? Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, all I keep seeing here, this is a lot of that energy that is taking, like going into that process of the self. And that's why I see even now, like this is like new year, new me kind of energy is what I'm seeing. Because this is the energy that's not just saying new year, new me by doing the things that I used to do. This is the energy that says new year, new me, because I'm implementing and I'm applying those approaches as I move forward again, right? And for masculine, this is the masculine that, again, with that approach of like, I want to say, saying to the ego of the self, hey, I love you, buddy. But when you're too big, I can't see anything. When you're too big, you like you make it impossible for me to build with another because you're trying to put on a show about how big you are. Instead of being like, instead of letting someone see the authentic side of myself, right? So I just keep seeing that there's a lot of this energy right now of masculine that's working in that space and feeling like that energetic, like that, like I want to say that lightness. But a lot of that lightness that we're effectively seeing here is the masculine that's learning to take themselves less seriously, because often when we're healing our egoic space, we start taking ourselves less seriously. Right? Because that's like that's a bit of that, like, you know, because you're not so worried. You're not so worried about what other people think. You just, you know, like you just, while for feminine, this is the feminine that's navigating the emotions to a certain extent. And again, I just keep seeing this, the feminine almost saying like, that's the wind in the sails, right? Like this is the feminine that's looking at their emotions almost like the wind and being like, listen, you know, I know sometimes you want to pull me in a direction strongly, but the better thing to ask is not what direction you're pulling me in, but whether it's the right direction. like whether it's the right direction. You know, like the wind can blow all kinds of ways. But like that's the energy that says, like, you know, I honor my emotions by feeling them like wind. You know, I don't just follow the wind where it leads. I sometimes move against them. Right? I sometimes rush with them, right? Like sometimes you just let them carry you. But the bigger question you say is it in the right direction? Continuing to get clarification. And so that's what we're seeing even now for a lot of that energy coming into divine union. And this is why I can see even now, this is why some feminine energy is finding the ability to move forward, even if it feels like their emotions are pulling them back. This is a feminine that almost says themselves in separation, like, yeah, that's the way the wind blows. Like that's the wind is blowing in that direction. Doesn't mean it's a direction I want to go into, right? So we see even now, like there's a lot of that energy that's utilizing intentionality, seeing things beautiful. Thank you. Like, thank you, new moon in Capricorn. That dose of energetic clarity, seeing something clearly that allows one to stay convicted as it relates to where it is you're trying to move on your own journey. It's not easy, but like it's not easy, but it's sacred, right? Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union. A lot of this work that we're seeing right now coming into divine union has to do with, again, I just keep seeing energy coming into divine union right now, being like, did not know it would be like this. Like, but not in a bad way. Like, not in a bad way. This is a lot of this energy that's like, again, if someone ever said like coming into divine union was happily ever after, I feel like a lot of that energy is having that instead feeling of going, and now it begins. Because like this is the energy that's like that. And that's why I see even now, like, I feel like there's some like energy right now. Like this is the differentiation that's happening in some of these conversations that are leading to energy moving away from another. Because if someone's saying, "Oh, that chapter's closed," and being like, "What are you talking about? My book just got open. Like the book just opened." Like this is the energy saying, like, if you look at something, if you look at that journey and be like, "Oh no, now you're done." This is the energy that says, "How dare you?" Like, no, it's the opposite of that. It's like feeling like the book is opening, like someone being like, "You got it all wrong." Like it's not like it's not the "and they lived happily ever after" that closes a book. There's the energy that goes, "and they were living happily ever after" when like it's like the next book. And so for a lot of this energy right now that is deep within divine union, I just keep seeing, and this is why I see even now, like there's a lot of this like like this is a big time right now in relationality to breakthroughs. And I'm seeing even now, like, when we're having breakthroughs, it can feel very bittersweet, right? Like, and I need to point this out, like when we have a breakthrough, it's not like, it's very like the difference between a breakthrough and a breakdown can sometimes feel very similar. It's like the energy that you put to it. Right. And so I see even now that a lot of that energy is like, is recognizing and appreciating how far they have come by honoring their own energetic past and having that moment of utilizing this as like, it's giving me like, it's still giving me a lot of the same library energy that we saw yesterday, which is like a lot of that it's not so much the sadness. It's just very energetically quiet to a certain extent, because there's a lot of that energy and contemplation as it relates to the path forward. Continuing to get clarification right now between our Judgment card in combination with our Nine of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, please. We've got here our Magician in its reversal. So, and I got to stress this, what's beautiful about this is there's a little bit of this, like, I want to say the best way I can describe this is coming into a space of energetic peace, if you will, right? Because a lot of that space of making energetic peace, like a lot of that energy is appreciating where they are on their own present journey, right? And a lot of that has to do with the articulation or the clarification. And this is more of that, I need to point this out, like this is exactly what we were talking about with that duality right now between the void moon of Capricorn that we experienced with the Gemini full moon, right? Who you are is what you will do and what you do not do, right? And so even now, like this is a lot of energy moving into that space of healthy resolutions, because this isn't just the energy saying like, I want to, I wish. This is the energy that is truly looking at what it is that they're hoping to energetically achieve, moving towards a manifestation, and looking at that as a twofold process. When we're building into healthy manifestation, we speak towards what we are going to do to move towards it, and what we're going to stop doing that feels like it's moving us away from it. Like, right? So there's a lot of contemplation right now in relationality to pathwork. And a lot of that, like I want to say, like there's a lot of energy right now that's reaffirming their own conviction in relationality to what it is that they're moving towards, either in separation or with counterpart, while also articulating what they will not do. Like what we're not going to do is like, because that is how we stay, that's how we refine a path, right? Like we carve like we work through path work by articulating not just what we want to do, right? That's road opening, but also what we're not going to do, which is where we set the energetic standards. Welcome to, like, a lot of that, like welcome to the Pluto in Aquarius. It's not just enough to want something, it's how you're going to get there that speaks towards not losing the fundamental reason that you want something in the first place, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. Woo! Wow. Okay. For those who are not watching and just listening, we had two cards fly out of the deck, and they're both transverse right now. And it makes a lot of sense. So the clarification between our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal and our Queen of Cups in its reversal are the Ten of Pentacles and the Five of Wands in their transverse. Now, this is intriguing, right? Because this is talking a little bit about the differentiation and how the journey of the masculine and feminine are experiencing this, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. Now, for masculine energy, I'm going to tell you right now, I want you to be gentle with yourselves today. Okay? I can see that there's a lot of this masculine energy right now navigating frustration. Welcome to Mars in retrograde. I'm going to say it again. If someone's trying to frustrate you, don't give them the privilege of being energetically frustrated. Like, just like let that just kind of move you into that space or place. For feminine right now, I feel like a lot of that work that we're effectively seeing at this time has more to do with the emotions. I feel like there's a lot, and I got to say this right now, there's a lot of emotionality today. For feminine, it feels more emotional. For masculine, it may feel more energetically frustrating. But again, when we are navigating our emotions in ways that we're able to be observant of them, we effectively see that for masculine, this is not the masculine that's just saying to themselves, I'm not going to get frustrated, but more the masculine that works through the frustration to say to oneself, is this the frustration that's coming from the ego, or is it coming from the higher self, right? Like I just keep seeing that there's a lot of the masculine energy that's going like, where is the phone call coming from, right? While for feminine, much like that same work, feeling the emotions, feeling the direction that the emotions pull one in, right? But instead of experiencing that modality of just moving in alignment with the emotions, saying to oneself, emotions, I know you guys are like the wind, you go all over the place. But is that the direction that we want to go into, right? Because that's a lot of the feminine building into that pathwork of focus. So I told you what's happening with masculine right now, being expansive, right? When we're not frustrated, when we don't just react to frustration, a host of new possibilities opens up for us, right? While for feminine, like, again, being patient. For feminine, allowing oneself to feel the emotions, but then say, are the emotions moving me in the direction that I know is best for me? There's a lot of that feminine energy that's working, again, on focusing and building into that pathwork of honoring themselves, both by not feeling like that sense that they're moving against their emotions, but recognizing that sometimes the emotionality, much like the ego, desires things, but doesn't, but allows for that sense or that space of making it hard to see like what's energetically there, right? So a lot of clarity that's still coming as a result of some of that Capricorn new moon energy. And that's happening across all of the frequencies, right? And that's why I see even now for a lot of that energy in separation, this may be feeling a little bit different at this time. Why is it feeling different? Because I'm seeing for the masculine energy right now, this is hard. This is masculine energy in separation coming towards feminine. Being patient, healing that sense of the desire, and saying to the desire, saying to the self that wants something immediately, and saying, when you want things too fast, when you move too quickly, like again, the ego wants what they want, you get in the way of having the thing that you ultimately desire, right? Like this is why we work through those experiences, right? We recognize the difference of intentionality. So I see even now there's a lot of that masculine energy that's recognizing, and that's not the energy of the masculine pretending not to care or not feeling their emotions. This is the masculine that's learning to articulate upon how they feel instead of just reacting to it, right? While for feminine, I see that a lot of the feminine energy is in that modality or that ability of, again, articulating upon the emotionality of something via the introspecting on it. And so even now, if these are the energies that are feeling trepidation as they move towards one another, this is the energy that is recognizing what that work is, right? Stepping out of their comfort zone, but not stepping out of who they are, stepping closer to who they truly desire to be, right? Like that is what we do when we're building into reaching towards our higher self. You know, we say to ourselves, what would they do? You know, like what would they do? What would that perfect version of self do in this situation? Right? And that's I see even now, like a lot of that work is honoring themselves, because if they feel a little bit of that dissimilarity, they find that point of peace or power within it. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Wands and its reversal in combination with our Fool card and its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Pentacles in its upright. And so this is, again, a lot of this stable energy that we see is coming in right now. This is the Capricorn energy. If you're seeing a lot of pentacles right now, it has a lot to do with some of that Capricorn energy that we're experiencing during this time. And so I see even now, like, there's a lot of this work in terms of energetically making peace with things, right? Now, for feminine, this is the feminine that's like, I want to say like honoring their pain, right? And this is a feminine that says, I am not just my pain. I honor that often pain is created when I feel like I need to move further away from myself in order to move towards what I energetically desire. And this is the feminine, I'm almost seeing to a certain extent, that says to themselves, I forgive myself for those modalities or those experiences where I could not see myself because the emotions moved you in like moved one in a direction that it made it hard to see. I see even now, like, see energetically clearly, right? Like there's a lot of that feminine that's building into that space of appreciation, specifically and particularly because this is the energy that recognizes and identifies that often moving in alignment and accordance with oneself, it's painful. It's hard, right? It's the weight of the responsibility that one feels in navigating forward in that way. For masculine, this is a lot of the masculine that is coming into that space of doing that same work. And here's the thing about it. When you're doing that work and you're appreciating it, when you start to see how difficult it is when you're navigating that space of recognizing and identifying what the ego wants you to do versus a higher self, and then you're able to navigate that and see that very similar to the emotionality that you experience from the feminine, what happens between these two? Profound appreciation and honor for what it takes to recognize the quality and characteristics that feel oppositional in the concurrent force that you find within it. Because that's the energy that doesn't just inhabit the energy that they find themselves in. They cultivate it. They curate it. They come into a space of recognizing it within the self that then allows one to move into a space of being able to be intentional, both with your own actions and also in how you are experiencing and expressing to those around you, right? It's heavy work. It's not easy. It's never easy. It's never easy. It's never something that you just fall into and stay within. It requires constant energetic attunement, right? And so I see even now that for a lot of that energy doing that work, for feminine, I feel like there's a lot of that feminine that's feeling that sense or space of being able to move forward on energetic journeys, specifically because they're feeling that sense of stability within the self. And that's not the energy of the feminine that says, I feel perfect, right? This is the energy that says, I am a work in progress. And I can honor that that work is ever changing and continual. But this is the energy that says to themselves, I am a work in progress. An energy that is in alignment with me will find that work a masterpiece. While for masculine energy in that modality right now, that ability of doing so, this is the energy I want to see. I keep getting the energy of the masculine saying, like, this is my buddy ego. This is my ego. Like, this is more of that energy of the masculine that's coming into that space of becoming friends with their energetic ego. Because a lot of that work, that this is the masculine that says, it doesn't require me to remove myself from it. It doesn't require me to shed it. It requires me to have a real healthy relationship to it. This is why I keep hearing my friend, and I can see the masculine almost wincing then say my friend, because like you're a little embarrassed about it. They have sometimes they go a little it's like that buddy. So I feel like even now that is the energy that is building forth in positive ways with one another, because they're seeing those qualities and characteristics in the counterpart. And that's not the energy that says you make it look so easy. Like, this is not the energy that says, wow, you're so lucky, right? Because when we say you're lucky, it means like you just stumbled into something. So you make it look so easy. You make it look effortless. The highest compliment, right? When someone says you make it look effortless, because it's a recognition of how much it takes to be able to get there, right? Now, for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, that's why even now, if someone is looking at their partnership and saying, oh, you're so lucky, like this is why the energy winces when they hear that, because this is the energy that says there's no luck a part of it. This is the energy that's been working their tail off, potentially all the way since like the eclipse season that we saw over the summer to heal something. So can you imagine how you feel if you've been working your tail off to fix something, and then someone says, oh, how nice for you. How lucky. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the energy that says there's no luck that's a part of it. It's tangible work. And that's why there's the energy that says, if you don't see it in that way, the energy goes, give me the patience, like give me the grace to accept what's in the self, to change the presence, to be able to be mindful of what is outside of the self that I will not affect, and the patience that someone will one day understand the work that it takes to be able to be in that same space, right? I'll see you when I get there kind of energy. Now, masculine and feminine energy that's deep within divine union, I just see even now, this is like, I keep hearing it's brainstorming. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of that, it's a lot of that moving into new possibilities, new ideas. And this is why I'm saying right now, I don't want you to get frustrated with something right now. I want you to remember that often we're frustrated right on the cusp of a breakthrough, right? And that ability of not allowing, letting that kind of propel you forward right now. If you're feeling, lay out those plans, get that path work together. This is a good day. I'm just seeing there's a good day today to kind of work on what those energetic plans are, and a lot of it, and I keep seeing the difference here has to do with, for masculine, it's having a new, there's a lot, I just keep hearing a lot of masculine energy being in that space of inspiration today. They're saying to me, the frustration that suddenly has an inspiring thought, not a reactive one. So that's why I'm going to say right now, they're saying brainstorm today, don't barnstorm, right? Because that sense of like having an idea, like, or having a breakthrough point, like it's very big today. But again, if you're navigating something more in the ego, it could just create that feeling of restlessness, that doesn't like that doesn't necessarily feel helpful. It just feels annoying. For masculine, for feminine, it's like tail wagging energy. It's weird. For feminine, it feels more like, I want to describe what I'm seeing here as, this feels more like the feminine energy really focusing and getting things done today. And a lot of that, it feels like feminine being very, I told you, like doing a lot more of that exact work, like a lot of that fine tuning, if you will. Like there's more of this energy here. I just keep seeing like this is feminine that, like, is really in that space or place of working into fine tuning something today, right? So this is why I see even now, like this is why these energies deep within divine union are giving each other space, because you can see masculine is feeling more expansive right now, feminine is feeling more energetically focused, continuing to get, and that's the quality, the gift that we give ourselves in healthy partnership, is we vibe check each other and we can tell where we are. Continuing to get clarification between our five of wands and its transverse, in combination with our 10 of pentacles and its transverse, and our queen of pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with, I love it, our king of swords in its upright. So I told you, even today, I'm going to say this again to masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. If someone is trying to energetically provoke you, I do not want you to give them the luxury of responding in kind. Be the energetic force in the room. Be the force of change. Be the voice of reason, right? Because I see even now that like a little bit of that energy here, and I have to stress this, for like a lot of the energy in separation at this time, this is the breakthrough point, like this is the masculine that like says like the hardest thing, and we recognize this. Sometimes the hardest thing is building into an appreciation of our own authenticity, especially when like the rest of the world often feels like it's built upon telling us how we're not good enough, how there's something more we need, that if you just had this, you'll be in your perfect space. I feel like a lot of that masculine is almost like coming into that space of building a sense of appreciation for oneself. And a lot of that adaptability, like I keep on hearing the energy say, it's messy, but it's mine, right? Like when we're in that space. And that's what I mean. Like, remember how we were talking about the healing of the energetic ego? Like that's that space of saying it's healing, but it's messy, but it's mine. Because when we're energetically messy, we apologize for that mess, right? We take accountability for the mess. Like that's why the energy that's healing, the masculine energy healing, is saying it's messy, but it's mine. Because this is a masculine that says it's okay to be messy, so long as I take accountability for that mess. And that doesn't mean the masculine tries to be messy all the time with their ego. It means the masculine suddenly in the space of the masculine being accountable for the messiness of their own ego, you become neat. And feminine goes, that's neat, right? Because that's the feminine that then looks, and there's the paradox. The feminine goes, that's neat. You have emotional hygiene. Like you are trying to pick up after yourself. Congratulations. Feminine goes, oh my goodness, this is someone with emotional hygiene. So for feminine, there's a lot of this feminine here that the minute they see the masculine that's going through this process of being able to assess themselves, being able to process through their own emotions, being able to talk through them, taking that energetic accountability. This is a feminine goes, it doesn't matter the quality of the mess, as long as you take accountability for that. What if you can see the mess, and that means you can, you can articulate upon what you're trying to work on versus what is a part of, like, this is the energy of the feminine that goes, like, that is not messy. Like the minute, like the masculine says it's messy, but it's mine, the feminine goes, that's not messy. That's accountability, right? Well, for feminine energy right now, this is a lot of the feminine that's working in that space or place. Again, when we feel emotions, we don't just tell another how we're feeling, we are prescriptive to them, right? This is a feminine that's learning to speak towards their emotions and saying, hey, what are you asking for? I know you're angry. Why are you angry? What do you need, right? Like we don't say to another, I'm angry. You know, we say first to ourselves, why am I angry? Right? We do that internal calibration. And so we see even now, this is a feminine that feels the sacredness of the emotions that they bring forth to masculine. Because this is a feminine that says, I do the work in healing my relationship with masculine via me refining the emotions, right? This is a feminine that refines, that sifts through the emotions and refines them to parse through what feels like it is moving towards intentionality versus something that feels like it's not something that can be like that's just being experienced from within. So that's why we see even now feminine is refining and masculine is expanding, right? Masculine's learning to be in that space of taking energetic accountability. Feminine is learning to energetically refine how they're feeling. Continuing to get and that's happening across all of the frequencies. Continuing to get clarification between Queen of Pentacles and its upright in combination with our Ace of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through. Oh, I love it. Coming through right now with our Five of Pentacles in its reversal. So again, it's not that today isn't triggering, but what's beautiful about what we're seeing here is this is energy that's working on navigating one's own energetic triggers, right? When we recognize them, we can deal with our own abandonment wounds. Now, that doesn't mean that we ignore the abandonment wound and say it's not important, right? We utilize that power, as we spoke about, in relationality to what feels like it is sacred, right? What feels like it brings us in deeper connection with our highest self versus what feels like it's coming more from the egoic center, like that space or place of like wanting what you want when you want it. And so we see even now that for a lot of the energy doing that work, and this is where it's having a different impact across the frequencies. And this is where the Mars retrograde comes in. I'm going to say it again. You know, confidence is, I keep hearing confidence is, if your confidence feels like it's at an all-time low, I want to remind you right now that Mars is in retrograde. Okay? So yeah, it's going to feel a lot like your confidence is at an all-time low. And I'm going to say again, courage does not exist where confidence lives. Courage and confidence are often confused. Confidence is what we do when we feel absolutely certain of something. Courage is what we do when we do not have confidence. Courage is moving with intentionality towards what we know is for us. So I see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy and feminine energy in separation right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I can see a lot of this energy moving into partnership and saying to themselves along the way, never have I been more courageous. Why are they saying, never have I been more courageous? Because the masculine is looking towards the feminine and saying, never have I been this authentic. Never have I shown my true self to the feminine in this way, right? And what is the feminine saying to the masculine in that modality? This is the feminine saying to the masculine, right? Never have I worked in that space of being able to recognize the balancing point in terms of my own emotions, but moving with intentionality towards a directionality that I know is pathwork of purpose. So we see even now, look at these two in separation. What separation? They're right on top of each other. they're right on top of what separation? They're right on top of each other. Masculine, moving with integrity of the self. Integrity, it's messy, but it's mine. Feminine, moving with the sacred pain of navigating the emotions that want everything, but the direction that you know is energetically best, right? So we see even now both of these energies across the frequencies healing these abandonment wounds. This is allowing for a lot of authenticity and both of these energies feeling uncertain about how that will work as they move forward. But that's where we see that this is the energy that says it doesn't, surrendering the energetic outcome is when we recognize and appreciate that regardless of what happens, this is how we choose to be, right? So a lot of that energy is building into that path work, either getting into that space of finding the energetic courage to move forward from that point, or building into a space of authenticity with a new energetic connection at this time. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, a lot of this energy coming into divine union at this time is working through that sense or space of feeling the frustration of others that feel like they're coming into partnership and feeling like their chapters are closing. And when you're about to open an energetic chapter and someone's treating or navigating you like you just feel like they've closed a chapter with you in the process of you opening it, you can understand why there may be some frustration or sadness that one feels at that point, right? It changes one's own perspective in relationality to the relationship that you were maintaining prior to those energetic connections. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy working in that context of healing, this is why the energy almost says to one another, give me the grace to accept what is in my power to accept. Give me the perseverance to understand what is outside of my own self to change. And give me the patience that is required in the hope that another will see something from my perspective that will allow for a deeper sense of alignment going forward. Because I see even now, these are not energies that are closing doors as they move deeper into partnership. This is energy moving away from things that feel like they're not in alignment to them, with the deep hope that another person's perception will allow for that sense of healing someday, right? While for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, I just see that this is a lot of work that's being facilitated right now in relationality to like integral healing, like on a very, very deep level, right? And for feminine, I would not be surprised if this feels more like frustrating for feminine, because I just keep seeing that feminine is getting very, very focused. And that's why I say even now for feminine, don't get frustrated, get focused. Okay? If you're feeling frustrated today, focus on what is important. And for masculine, making sure that you're doing that work of, again, don't get frustrated, get creative. Think outside of the box, right? Because masculine's expanding right now and feminine's focusing. Final card for today's spread between our King of Swords in its upright and our Five of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Three of Cups. Our Three of Cups in its reversal. And we're going to talk about this because we're coming back again, coming out of this double void Capricorn new moon that was very much in alignment to the Gemini full moon, right? What are we effectively seeing to a certain extent? We're recognizing and identifying effectively. And we talk about this. And this is why there are either things right now that feel like they're potentially fracturing around you. If someone's operating more in the state of ego, it may be feeling more like that sense of confusion, right? While others are coming into that space of something that is energetically growing. Why? Because it is the energy of the double down, right? Like, and what do we mean by like doubling down? When we are on pathwork of conviction, right? When we're moving in accordance with our higher self, then that sense of energetically doubling down, it feels like us re-amplifying our own energetic convictions towards what it is that we know is for us, right? And so that can feel very positive. That can feel very affirming, right? Like the work does not change regardless of the energetic outcome outside of a situation or circumstance. Whereas if someone's more in a state of an ego, it may become coming into that space of feeling more of that sense of confusion in relationality to another's actions, right? Because when the ego, often we can interpret, like if something is coming from a space of the ego, if we cannot make sense of it, like if we cannot make sense of it, right? So we see even now, like this could be some moments right now that feel really fortifying, that feel really affirming, that allow for that magnitude of, again, another expressing their energetic conviction and relationality to what is important and what they've changed and what they plan to continue to do in the process. Or this could feel like this is where some of that frustrating energy may be coming in, with someone that's navigating the space of ego and not letting the in, being like, I said what I said, but not asking the question of saying, but why would you say that? It's like not getting to the point of being like, but why? It's like the wall, it's like, it's like that's usually how you can refine between what's coming from the higher self, right? Like, here's the explanation versus the energy that goes, why? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay. So again, if you're experiencing that, just be energetically patient, be compassionate, help someone recognize where they may be standing in their own way, right? And sometimes that just requires working through, with a sense of patience, and ask, and again, they're saying, remember, the compassion is often simply facilitated in, and this is why I see even now, for the masculine, again, that space of taking accountability, asking the right energetic question, right? And for feminine, it's I almost hear the feminine being like, could you repeat that? Could you say that again? Again, helping someone recognize, energetic, it's a lot of that work in terms of helping someone recognize a blind spot or an energetic flaw in logic, right? It's a little bit of that, that kind of compassion space today, right? And when we recognize that, we don't just react to the flaw. We walk someone through it, Bottom of the deck on this reading, particularly and especially with the Four of Wands in its upright, a lot of this work that we're seeing right now is, and this is what I'm talking about, and I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to check because I'm almost 100% positive about this. Yep. This is the exact same card we had in our bottom of the deck yesterday. Different position, right? Yesterday we had the Four of Wands in its reversal, bottom of the deck. Today we have it in its upright. Why? Because this is what I meant. This is literally the four. I'm going to tell you right now, the Four of Wands going back and forth like this is what we're talking. This is the Mars retrograde, right? This is the Mars retrograde being like, I feel positive for the future. I don't feel positive for the future. Yay, boo. Yay, boo. Moving, that is literally what we talk about when we mean a lack of confidence, which is oh good. No, maybe no. It's a lot of that kind, that feeling, the person going, it's a lot of that, a lot of that kind of feeling, I don't know what's going to happen kind of energy. Welcome to the Mars in retrograde, because that is the roller coaster of the certainty as to what you think is going to happen is the Mars retrograde. It's a lack of confidence that is feeling it's up and down and up and down. So remember, courage is what you do when confidence is at an all-time low. So be very, very energetically intentional right now. Let that intentionality guide you through some of this turbulence in confidence that we are experiencing as a result of the Mars retrograde. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. Booking a private reading on my site is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I would encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates today before we move into personal readings. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Strength card. The next class that we are hosting in Tarot Church will be the Hermit class. It will be held on Wednesday, January 15th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you would like to become a part of our tarot class program, all you need to do is head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access to the full suite of Tarot Church classes. That is over 9 hours worth of material that is included in your subscription membership. It is not necessary to catch up for every class. I will be giving a recap on what we've studied thus far in each class, but it's there for you when you're ready to receive those lessons. And also, if you will have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms to help you navigate to reach your tarot goals moving forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's certainly something there for everyone. Do not let your fear or anxiety about your own personal level stop you from joining the classes. Even if you don't be, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, I would encourage you to also head over to our subscriber only TikTok channel on Discord, because there you will find a special coupon code that will give you an additional discount to that Substack subscription. Even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about our in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be notified as to our giveaway information. And speaking about giveaways, we have announced the winner of our November giveaway. Congratulations to our winner. If you would like to find out if you won, simply head over to my most recent newsletter post. You will find the winner in that newsletter. Again, congratulations. Finally, I want to let you know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for my clients that are seeking a more consistent, a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason. Those classes are individuated for each and every client. They can either be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I am very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again.